Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Your Honor, opposing counsel, and may it please the court. I'm Attorney Graham, and I represent here today Vicksburg's Firearm, the defendant in this matter. On November 21st, 2021, Darrell Brooks drove his SUV into a Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin, killing 6 and injuring severely 62 individuals. Darrell had borrowed his mother's car that morning and had been driving around the city all day. However, Mr. Brooks was the one found guilty for these reckless, cruel, and intentional deaths and injuries. His mother was not liable, and Dodge, who made the Durango he was driving, was not liable. Why? Because in American society, as well as in the American system of justice, we have a principle of personal accountability for personal actions. You're responsible for your actions, both socially and legally, not the actions of other people. Today, you're being asked to uproot and override that entire fundamental principle of American jurisprudence and American life. You're being asked to find Vicksburg's Firearm Corporation to be responsible for what some individual person did with a product that they manufactured. Today, you will hear evidence that a crazed, disgruntled ex-employee of a stock firm here in New Orleans broke into the office early in the morning and opened fire, killing 11 and injuring severely 2 more. One of those killed in the firing, was the husband of Celeste Wood and the father of Henry, who both sit at the plaintiff's table today. This is a tragedy by any account and reckoning, one that should never happen, and one which shook our community here in New Orleans to its very core. However, you will hear evidence also that Vicksburg Firearms, who managed a retail outlet from which a clerk sold the firearm used in the shooting, should not be in any way held liable for the manufacture of that product. You'll hear from the clerk himself that the individual purchasing the gun from him passed a federal NICS background check. He filled out the proper federal file life registration form, and the individual who sold it and the dealership in general are authorized and licensed FFL, Federal Firearm Dealers. The form was filled, the background check was run, the sale was legal according to every law in the United States of America. Now, the individual who purchased these guns legally from the Vicksburg Firearms Manufacturing retail store then went off the rails. He went to the back alleys of New Orleans and began selling the guns he purchased legally out of his trunk. Now, he is not a federal firearm license holder, no. Nor is he authorized to sell firearms to anyone without doing a background check for the transfer of the firearm. This didn't matter to him. He sold to apparently all comers, including the man who later on shot up the stockbroker building. Now, this man, because he's accountable for his actions, is currently spending a long time in federal prison. You'll hear from him that he sold the perpetrator of this heinous crime the firearm. No background check, no transfer form, no federal license to transact that business. He's being held accountable. He is paying the price for his actions. Now, where's the man who committed this heinous atrocity? Well, unfortunately for justice, the man, after killing 11 at the stockbroker firm, turned the gun on himself. So he's not here before you today to testify about his actions or to testify as to the intentions he had when he bought the firearm illegally. However, one thing is sure. When Darrell Brooks ran over the innocents in the Christmas parade, his mother, who loaned him his Dodge Durango, was not found liable, could not be found liable for her son's heinous actions that day. Neither was Dodge Company, who manufactured the SUV who drove over the people that day. The same must be held true in this case. Vicksburg Firearms Corporation, who manufactures guns and ensures their legal sale to individuals who file the proper forms and pass the proper federal background check and are in compliance with all measures of the law allowing them to own a firearm, did their duty. The firearm was transferred legally to a third party who then illegally sold it to the shooter. The same as we can't hold Dodge liable for what somebody does with one of their trucks, or Mr. Brooks' mother liable for what her son does that day, Vicksburg firearms manufacturer has no liability for what this crazy, terrible person did that day in that stock building. Thank you very much.